Hello, Daz Studio enthusiasts. This is Not From This World, and I want to welcome you back to my tutorial series. Now today, I wanted to talk a little bit about the ActivePose tool because I've been playing around with it, and honestly my mind has been kind of on posing the last couple weeks. I've made a few videos on posing lately, and so I was just trying to play with this and see if it's even a viable and legitimate way to pose, and then see what all of you, especially you professionals, if you use this ActivePose tool to just pose your character. So for those of you that are kind of new to Daz Studio, the ActivePose tool is something that will help you pose your characters, and it's right up here. Last week I was talking about this universal tool and how I don't use it all that much. I use this node selection tool, but if we just move over to where this little bone is, that is called the ActivePose tool. And if we select the ActivePose tool, we can take this and move our character. I have shown how to use the ActivePose tool to do something pretty cool, which is to pin a certain part of your character's body so she can't move. And I did that about 3 years ago. In one of my very first videos, actually, I showed this. And then I also did kind of a revamp of that same tutorial just recently. So if you're interested in that, this is the only reason why I actually have used the ActivePose tool at all. So what I thought I would try and do this week was just use the ActivePose tool to do simple poses. And I have to admit, I have really struggled with this. I played around with it, and I had to ask myself, is this even worth the time when I can just go to my node selection tool and pose Milica the way that I want her? The ActivePose tool also has a tool settings. So if you go to Windows and then Panes and then down to the tool settings, when you have this selected, you will get the tool bar, and that's where you can pin or unpin the character to hold her in place. But it also has some settings that I was kind of playing around with, and I really just don't see the benefit of this. For example, if I have this selected, if I just want to raise Milica's arm, like let's just say we're going to raise her arm up. If I click on her arm and I'm using this, it's moving like her entire body. And I can see how this would be maybe useful if you want to make huge movements to adjust a pose, or maybe if you're using animation. Even if you grab the arrow, I'm still just, I just don't see how this is helpful. It puts her into some weird positions, and see, I can't even get her arm raised up. Obviously, in contrast to this, if I just go to the node selection tool and I select her shoulder, I can just bend it and get her arm up exactly the way that I want it. So ActivePose is actually really frustrating me because I'm trying to find a useful reason to even use it. The only thing that I have found that is useful with that ActivePose tool is our ability to pin certain parts of her body, and that will make it more immobile. I even did try to pin like her shoulder. So if I toggle pinned her shoulder and then tried to grab and move, this does help a little bit because she isn't moving her entire body because the shoulder's pinned. So now I can take and move this arm, but I'm moving the shoulder. I have her forearm selected, or even her wrist. If I have her hand selected, I still cannot get this pose. So at this point, I just think it's useless. I really don't know what I'm going to ever use ActivePose for unless I want to pin the position of arms and legs like I showed in my previous video. So if you have any suggestions, I need educated on this because obviously I'm no expert at it. And I just find going to the universal tool or to the node selection tool and then doing my poses in this manner, and I can get really accurate, very precise poses. I suppose the only thing I can recommend at this point in time for the ActivePose, other than the pinning, is if you just need a broad general movement from one pose to another on your character to try and just vary the position that she's in. Because other than that, I really just can't find a reason to use it. But that's why I made this quick tutorial for this week, was to basically ask all of you, what do you use ActivePose for? Show me a reason why I should be using it, maybe over the node selection tool and the universal tool. I'd really like to know what you use that for. And since I don't really use animation, I really would like to learn it. I just never have learned animation in Daz Studio, but I would love to animate Milika. I think I've mentioned this numerous times in other videos, but I don't animate. Maybe it's more for animation. So let me know at any rate. And until next time, have a wonderful week and happy rendering.